Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Congregation Adath Israel's 64th anniversary dinner. Tonight, we join together to celebrate the contributions of our guests of honor, Bracha and Yisroel Schechter, and Rachel and Bob Moskowitz. I would first like to publicly thank those who have made significant contributions to the Jewish world in North America and Jews across the world, and point out the distinguished rabbinic personages that we have gathered here tonight. It looks like Rabbi Schwartz's notes were left up here from last year. Okay. But might as well. I would like to thank and acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Yisroel Kappenstein, Executive Director of Yeshivas Be'er Yitzchak. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Zev Wolbe of Yeshiva Zichron David. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Avi Heller, Regional Director for the New Jersey and Rockland County for the Department of Community Engagement of the Orthodox Union. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Ami Newman, Principal of Rav Mesivta Academy, RTMA. On behalf of the dinner co-chairman, John Walsman and Alex Krauss, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees of Congregation Adath Israel, I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening. Other than our membership drive, the anniversary dinner is our largest fundraising event of the year, and the proceeds from tonight's dinner will help ensure that our shul continues to serve its members and the entire Hillside and Elizabeth Jewish community. However, almost as important as the money raised this evening, the dinner affords us the opportunity to come together to celebrate our Adath Israel family and the dedication of our members. We can certainly all take a lesson from tonight's honorees, whose service and dedication are true examples of what it means to be dedicated to one's community. Planning an event of this scale takes a great deal of hard work, planning, and dedication on the part of many different people who have spent countless hours and a great deal of effort in order for this evening to be possible. On behalf of Alex and John, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Shul, I would like to say thank you to the following individuals who have helped put this evening together. Moshe Ambinder, Ariella Borgen, David Fierstein, Faith Fish, Maddie Hoffman, Rabbi Ari Isaacs, Alex Krauss and Dr. Sarah Krauss, Shane D. Pinsker, Stephen Rosen, Rabbi Schwartz, Alex and Tara Spire, John and Yafa Walsman, Yo Walk, and Shani Zinstein. Thank you all very much. I would also like to express appreciation to the Journal Chairman, Dr. Yossi Pinsker, for all of his hard work and effort in putting together tonight's dinner. We could not have put this dinner together without you. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Rabbi Schwartz, not only for all his help in connection with the dinner, but for all he does for the shul and its members and the community as a whole. Thank you very much, Rabbi Schwartz. I would like to thank Avenue Florists for all their help in providing us with tonight's beautiful centerpieces. Just a note on the centerpieces, feel free to take the flowers home, but please do not take any of the vases or vases. I would like to thank Yehoshua Ofresser and YSA Productions for helping provide tonight's music and audio-visual support. And I would also like to thank Travis Weiss and the Wilshire Grand team for all their help planning and getting this evening together and helping us make it a success. This past year has been a very special year for AI. We continue to welcome many new families into our families. And since our last dinner, our Circle of Life Committee has organized meals for the families of 25 new babies. We continue to offer multiple minyanim every day of the week. The learning opportunities available in the shul continue to expand both in terms of number and variety. We took part in the emergency air conditioner fundraiser, which successfully raised $35,000 from over 100 families and individuals in less than a month's time. We have enjoyed a multitude of events, including the Persian Shabbaton, the Chazan and Scholar in Residence Shabbatot, holiday programming, and a myriad of youth programs. Our youth department continues to grow and prosper. There have been over 10 Shabbatot where teen minyanim took place over the past year, which have empowered our youth to step into roles of leadership within the davening and leaning. It is our collective hope that we can continue on our path of growth and success for many years to come. Going through all the incredible things that have occurred in and through our shul and having to list them out has given me a new perspective. We are only a few weeks removed from the Yamim Noraim and the deep introspection that comes with the start of Chodesh Elul up to Rosh Hashanah, through the Aseret Yimei Tshuva, and through Yom Kippur. As I was leaving my house and getting into the car on Erev Yom Kippur, I found myself reflecting not only on a personal and familial growth, but also on the great communal developments that have taken place over the past year. As I was driving and quickly making my way up Westminster onto North Avenue, I kept ruminating about the continued initiative of the vibrant youth department, the expansion and programming of the AI Sisterhood, the constant chesed initiatives on top of the abundant Torah opportunities and daily minyanim taking place, the Torah leadership and the spiritual guidance they provide, and the strong commitment to the community flowed through my mind as I drove past Bruria, still making my way to shul. As I got closer, I considered the increase in the quantity and attendance to the teen minyan and how busy the groups are downstairs on Shabbos. Taking all these amazing accomplishments and developments together, I completely could not stop thinking to myself that the parking situation is really awful at shul. And as I made my way past the parking lot, and I was pretty certain that Kol Nidre started 15 minutes back, I realized the parking situation definitely is not very good. I was better off when I was in the apartments. I know that for the past 10 years, this portion of the program has featured John Walsman. And I wanted to thank him for his hard work preparing his humorous narratives and slides over the past few dinners and for explicitly calling our attention to the incredible resemblance between Bruce Joyanda and Mahmoud Abbas. We will truly never forget at least that. I know that for many, the dinner serves as an opportunity to gather together as a community, and others look forward to the chance to acknowledge the hard work of the honorees, but there's another component of the AI dinner that many individuals look forward to, and the switch from John to me should not get in the way of that. And so, here's what our shul, the proposed new shul building looked like last year, and here's what it looks like this year. Oh, that's not right. Hold on, pan out. All right, there it is. The banner does look good. I know there's another thing that people look forward to, the AI dinner for, which John has made famous. Of course, I refer to the lookalike segment. So I'm going to do just two quick ones just so that anybody who came for that will at least see that. Okay, here we go. The man who made lookalikes a thing, the locus of the circle of life, and the Gabbai Sheni extraordinaire, John Walsman, looks like the bare naked lady singer Stephen Page. And I know, stepping into John's shoes, it's only fair if I take one myself, right? So Adam Sandler looks like Charlie Borgen. Taking over this position is certainly a tough task, and there are not really a whole lot of things that I bring to the table that John couldn't do or hasn't done over the past 10 years, except for one thing, and that is to smile. So here it goes. All right, did it. An integral member of the JEC family has been spending a considerable amount of time away from the community in a country overseas. We all recognize and revere this figure and have come to associate his face not only with AI, but with the JEC and around the community, ensuring that the community is functioning as it is supposed to. Nope, not him. There he is. Luckily, I've actually heard very recently from Prince. He actually sent me an email out of the blue. I'm going to read it. Dear Sir or Madam, I repose great confidence in you, and I hope you will not betray my confidence in you. I have secretly deposited the sum of $30 million with a security firm abroad whose name is withheld from now until we open communications. The money is contained in a metal box consignment with security deposit number 009GM. You must have heard over the media reports and the internet on the recovery of various huge sums of money deposited by my late father in different banks and security firms abroad. Some of these banks and securities firms willingly gave/divulged their banking secrets and disclosed to the present civilian administration of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, I think that was the Sephardic Chazan, about my family's cash lodgement and monetary transactions with them, so I will deal directly with you. I am proposing a 20% share in the fund to you for your kind assistance. I shall provide for you all the documents of the fund deposit with the security firm and raise a power of attorney to enable you to claim and receive this fund into your bank account. So please, if anybody sees Prince, next time you see him, let him know that he owes me $6 million. Speaking of emails that rarely get opened, the Shul unveiled a series of emails this past year. You may have seen them. There was the Elul series titled Ways to Return, and the current series of Something to Think About. Interestingly enough, the Google programmers have built in a feature that they have for all the Gmail accounts that were designed for these types of communications. A simple button to click when you receive these emails in the middle of the workday from your place of worship. Of course, the button I'm referring to is the report as spam button. And I think that John, in the 10 years, John hasn't done a Dvar Torah, so I'm going to give it a try. In the previous week's Torah reading, we read about the upbringing of Yitzchak and Yishmael in Perek Chaf Aleph. And the pasuk describes Sarah noticing Yishmael's behavior described in the pasuk. And the word it uses to describe it is mitzachek. Rashi on the spot explains that the word connotes the three yehareg v'al yavor averos, the three actions that one must give up their life for in order to avoid committing. However, considering Rashi's approach, it's hard to understand just exactly how Yishmael was able to do these three mitzvos simultaneously. To skip Yotros, to get an aliyah while not wearing a jacket, and to keep the Sefer Torah open during the brachos, all at the same time. Be that as it may, it's not hard to comprehend why Sarah felt compelled to throw Yishmael out. And now, I would like to call on Moshe Mayevsky, who will present the guests of honor, the Schechters.
Bershus, Rabbi Schwartz, and all of our distinguished guests. One of my favorite Mishnayos is Pirkei Avos. As a child, my mother, aunt, cousin, and I, along with any visiting friends, would sit in my aunt's living room on the Shabbos afternoons between Pesach and Rosh Hashanah and read first the Hebrew, then the English translation of the weekly Pirkei Avos chapter. And then in 8th grade, I memorized the first 2 prakim for school. So it is not surprising that I have a special fondness for the ethics of the fathers, and that I often refer to it for inspiration and advice. It has so many beautiful teachings, and its messages, so succinct and insightful, are timeless. In Parak Bet, Mishnah Yud Gimel, it says, Amar lahem, T'u or U, Ezo hi derech yishara she'yidbak ba ha'adam. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Ayin Tova. Rabbi Yehoshua Omer, Chaver Tov. Rabbi Yosei Omer, Shachein Tov. Rabbi Shimon Omer Haroeh et Hanolad. Rabbi Elazar Omer Leiv Tov. Rabbi Yochanan said to them, go and see which is the best trait for a person to acquire. Rabbi Eliezer says, a good eye. Rabbi Yehoshua says, a good friend. Rabbi Yossi says, a good neighbor. Rabbi Shimon says, to see what is born out of one's actions. Rabbi Elazar says, a good heart. I think that this Mishnah depicts our amazing friends Bracha and Yisroel Schechter. Ayin Tova, a good eye. This refers to an attitude of tolerance and benevolence toward others. Those of you who know Bracha and Yisroel know that they are the epitome of tolerance. Even when they believe in something their way, they never impose it on anyone else. They welcome into their home and into their lives, with love and kindness, others who don't necessarily share their views on life, religion, family, and even politics. And they do this even when it makes some aspects of their lives more difficult or complicated. Chaver Tov, a good friend. This refers to both being and acquiring a good friend. Bracha and Yisroel truly know how to be good friends. Moshe especially enjoys his walks home from shul with Yisroel.
One of the things I know Yisroel enjoys discussing while walking home from shul is a good play on Hebrew words. So here's one for you, Yisroel. As we know, the Hebrew word for honor is kavod. The same shoresh, kaf vez dalid, also can spell kaved, heavy. So I decided to give the connection some thought and realized that the shoresh kaf vez dalid refers to something that is weighty or important. Hence, an honor, a kavod, such as the one you and Bracha are receiving tonight, should not be taken lightly. Bracha and Yisroel are always there for us and many others in the community and beyond. They listen without judging, they offer advice without preaching, and they go out of their way to make others' lives easier, a true chaver tov.
And not only in their personal lives. Now that Bracha is the marriage and family counselor, go Bracha! She can take her knack for knowing just what to say and just how to say it to help her clients achieve success as well. Shachein Tov, a good neighbor, even more influential than a good friend. Because of his proximity, one has more opportunity to learn from his good behavior. The Schechters truly know what it means to be a good neighbor. When Renee Rubin was alive, Bracha and Yisroel visited her time and again, in her home and in the hospital, to check on her, make sure everything was okay, and boost her spirits. Their home is always open to any visitors, expected or unexpected. One of Bracha's many talents, as some of you may know, is being an expert potato peeler. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, I am referring to those delicious potatoes in your shul chillent on Shabbos. And whether being a good neighbor means helping someone out in a carpool bind, preparing 3 meals in one night for friends and even women she doesn't know who have just had a baby, or hosting a shaliach for the summer, you can be certain that the Schechters fit the bill. Haroeh Tanolad, one who considers the outcome of a deed. This does not refer to prophetic foresight, but to one who foresees the consequences of his actions. When Bracha and Yisroel say or do something, it is never hasty. I have never seen either one of them lose their tempers or show their anger. They are level-headed and thought out. Sometimes when I'm upset about something or not sure how to proceed, I'll think to myself, what would Bracha do?
Recognizing the value of Yiddishkeit and of modeling proper behavior for their children, going to shul, davening in shul, and embracing the spirit of Judaism. Yisroel edits Sfarim for his Rebbe and can often be found probing the philosophical underpinnings of Jewish thought. And when life throws them a curveball and they have to face an unexpected challenge, they do so with grace and courage. Their children and our children learn from them and emulate their behavior. They understand that their words are meaningful and that their actions make a difference. They're true role models.
Lev Tov, a good heart. The heart symbolizes the emotion and desire that are at the root of every endeavor, aspiration, spiritual tendency, and achievement. Thus, the term Lev Tov includes all the stimuli that lead people toward goodness. When Bracha and Yisroel do things, they do them from the bottom of their hearts. Bracha volunteers for Hatzalah as a dispatcher, despite her hectic schedule. She organized PTA and school clubs for years without expecting anything in return. And whenever it is needed, they host Shabbos meals for those in need. And I don't know anyone else who would take care of someone else's baby or children for an entire weekend, like when we got stuck in traffic on our way back from Rhode Island.
Many years ago, although Chana and I left Rhode Island on a December Friday at 10 a.m., should have been plenty of time to get back in time for candlelighting and Shabbos, we got stuck in terrible traffic. 6 hours later, 4 p.m., candlelighting looming, we're still only in Manhattan. We realized that we weren't going to make it home back in time, back to our kids in time for Shabbos, who were already being watched by the Schechters Friday afternoon. We made arrangements to stay in Manhattan for Shabbos. Chana was in tears when she called to ask Bracha to see if she could keep our kids for Shabbos too. When we overheard Bracha telling the kids that they would stay with her for Shabbos, we heard cheering in the background, thrilled to spend more time with the Schechters. Now allow me to finish the Mishnah. Amar lahem, Rabbi Yochanan concluded, Roeh ani es divrei Elazar ben Arach mi divreichem, shebichlal dvarav divreichem. I prefer the words of Elazar ben Arach to yours, for his words include all of yours. In order to understand why Elazar ben Arach's response was preferred, let's read this Mishnah from a different lens. When the rabbis were considering the best trait, Ezohi derech tova, she'yidbak ba ha'adam, they all went to the Torah to find the first instance, the first place where the word tov appears. Of course, they all found it right away in the story of creation, Vayar Elokim es ha'or ki tov. They saw the light. Hashem saw the light, that it was good. Rabbi Eliezer therefore said, Ayin tova. Light was created for sight. Rabbi Yehoshua said, a chaver tov, a good friend. Light was created to offset the darkness. There was already choshech al pnei sehom. Rabbi Yossi, shachen tov, a good neighbor. After creating light, Hashem quickly separated the light and dark. Vayavdel Elokim bein ha'or uvein ha'choshech. Thus, light was created and tov because it was a good neighbor. Rabbi Shimon, haroa es hanolad. The light of Bereshis in that pasuk could not possibly refer to the sun, which was created on day 4. Therefore, it was the Or Haganuz, the hidden light which is to remain concealed for a future olam, a future world, olam haba. Therefore, haroa es hanolad. Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, however, noted that tov is the 33rd word of the Torah. And thus, creation, Bereshis, the story of creation begins with Lev, 32, followed by Tov. Lev Tov. This explains why Rabbi Yochanan concluded, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach's words include all other opinions. Within Lev, within the first 32 words, the opinions of all other rabbis were also found. Having all of these wonderful qualities, as the Schechters do, is a creation. It creates a community around them inspired to do good. They are an integral part of creation of a Makom Torah in Hillside and Elizabeth community, and worthy of this esteemed kavod.
This level of giving and knowing that they are always there for us and happy to be make Bracha and Yisroel very special friends, neighbors, and creators of good in all that they do. Thank you for everything and for always inspiring us to do better. We are so pleased and honored to call upon Bracha and Yisroel Schechter to accept tonight's award.
On behalf of the shul, we'd like to present the Schechters with a tzedakah box with an inscription, Congregation Adat Israel honors Yisroel and Bracha Schechter at the 64th anniversary dinner with profound gratitude for your selfless devotion and unwavering commitment to our shul and community, November 17th, 2019, Chaf Cheshvan Tafshin Pei.
Stay with me? Whatever you want to do. Okay. Thanks, Chan and Moshe. That was amazing. This seems suddenly embarrassing. Yes, this is me in a tie. Thank you, Rabbi Teitz, Rabbi Schwartz, for always being available with kindness and understanding, John, Alex, Yossi, and the dinner committee for making the process so easy and for organizing this event. I'd like to thank our families from coming from near and far, and some of them came from far, and our friends, both from within the community and without. We're genuinely humbled by all the trouble people went through to come and join us tonight. I always say that when it comes to in-laws, I hit the jackpot. And I want to express special gratitude to them for all the things that they do for us, and they're always there for us. And lastly, I want to thank my wonderful children, and in particular, I want to wish a happy birthday to my daughter Sarah, who turns 11 today. I told her this is her party, so just play along. This past Shabbos, we read about Sodom, where the Torah seems to draw a drastic contrast between the archetypical chesed of Avram and the most anti-chesed place of all time, Sodom, where all guests were illegal and any acts of giving were punished. The Mishnah is very precise in defining the midah of Sodom. It's shali shali v'shalcha shalach. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. This ideology seems to address a destructive flaw embodied in the nature of chesed itself. As Rashi points out, an alternate meaning of the word chesed is cherpa, which is disgrace. Sodom believes that chesed and structures of community support takes more than it gives by defining and overtaking an individual and creating a dependency which destroys the recipient. Sodom's solution to this is just do away with the whole thing. I am me, you are you, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. We live separately as isolates, free from the tyranny of giving and from the dependency that destroys the individual. Perhaps there's an allusion to this in the Torah, where after the Torah describes how Avram and Lot separated from each other, it defines Sodom in terms of Anshe Sodom Ro'im. The men of Sodom were evil. Ra is the opposite of good. And in the Torah, there's only 2 times where something is defined as lo tov, not good. The first is lo tov heyos adam levado. It's not good for a person to be alone in isolation. And the second is when Yisroel says to Moshe, what you're doing is lo tov. You can't go on like this. Lo suchal asahu levadecha. You can't do this alone in isolation. And we see from the conclusion of the story in Sodom that this warped conception, this warped notion of chesed is not something that's meant to survive. We don't thrive in isolation, and community serves as the context of and the rhythm to our lives. As Bracha was just telling me on Shabbos, she thinks that a full conception of chesed involved not just the capacity to give, but also, as we are learning, the willingness to receive. Over the years, we've hosted many families who are checking out the neighborhood, despite which some have actually moved in. That was Bracha's joke. And when they ask about the community, what I tell them is, while every place has its problems, Hillside, we manage to sidestep a lot of the pitfalls that sometimes affect other places. You don't find the materialistic competitiveness and keeping up with the Joneses, and there isn't an emphasis on superficial displays of religiosity. I tell them if you come to shul on Shabbos, you'll see people wearing everything from bekishes and black hats to khakis and polo shirts. There are even a few strange characters walking around in sneakers. Sorry, Ryan, I had to bring you down there. It's not something that people talk about, and we don't have a hashtag diversity. It's just an organic way that the community has evolved, and a reflection of the values with which we're initially invested in it. I tell them that there are great people living here, and that we've been very lucky to forge lifelong friendships. I don't tell them about the property taxes. We also find that there's a rare balance between having a cohesive community with structures in place for support, like Kulanu Yachad, Hatzalah, meal sign-ups, there's group WhatsApps, where people are looking out for each other, and at the same time, there's a tremendous emphasis on the value of private space. In this community, you can be as involved as you want, and in whatever way that interests you. Like in our family, for example. You have Bracha, whose desire to contribute has motivated her to organize after-school clubs. She dispatches for Hatzalah, constantly cooking meals for people. As Chana said, she peeled potatoes at the shul for the chalent. She serves on the board of the Y and as the president of the JC PTA for a few years. While my accomplishments include somewhat consistently making the last 25 minutes of Musaf and getting Fuchsman to come to the dinner. When they first asked us to be the honorees, I said to myself, how am I going to get out of this one? But then I thought about all the nice things people would say about Bracha and how uncomfortable it would make her. I figured, if lo tov is in terms of isolation from Isha, then it follows that tov is in terms of connection to Isha. As it says in Mishlei, matzah Isha, matzah tov. He who finds a woman finds good. And I found a good one. She has an endless capacity to help others, extraordinary powers of discrimination. She always knows what to do. She always knows what to say. She never loses her cool. And she's an incredible role model for our children. And she's also fun to hang out with, which works out for me. Like many others who do so much for the shul and community, she prefers no praise or accolades. I don't really get it, but I've accepted that she views herself as inextricably linked to the community. And for her, these aren't a list of things to do, they are things to be. And in no small part, reflection of what was invested in her by her own family. We are fortunate to live and raise our family in a community with so many substantive individuals who are rooted, invested, and dedicated. They are an inspiration, exemplify the midah of Avraham Avinu, and embody the concept of authentic chesed. Thank you and good night.
Guests of honor, the Moskowitzes, please welcome Rabbi Schwartz.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Somebody please give him a round of applause, please. It is not easy to get up here and attempt humor. And I only have one question for you, Charlie. How do you feel about that? What a wonderful evening, what a wonderful opportunity to pay homage and recognize but some of the myriad of activities that go on under the big expanded roof that is Adas Yisroel. But I want to begin by recognizing the comments of Mr. and Mrs. Majewski, who did a really fantastic job presenting the Schechters. I enjoyed your play on words, specifically about kavod and kaved. And I also want to remind you that kaved has another additional component. It refers to the liver, the very thing that is going to cause my doctor to yell at me tomorrow due to the incredible job that Alex and John and the entire crew this evening put together, both with the flesh and the spirits and everything that went along with it. So give them a wonderful round of applause, as well as to Pinchas, Joe, and Reuven. I also feel that on behalf of the staff of our shul and its expanded components, I feel that we need to recognize the tremendous efforts of my team, our team, the team that's involved in raising our kids together with us, serving as tremendous role models, can be called upon in any moment's notice to play a whole bunch of different roles in life. And so I ask that you give a very warm round of applause to our terrific youth directors, Tioni and Alyssa Shear. And by extension, to Rabbi and Mrs. Rosenbaum, who've joined us this year, and really an opportunity to work with this wonderful group together and partner with you is really something tremendous. Our board, led ably, with sleeves rolled up, ready to run at any issue, by Mr. Scott Susser. And Scott, you know you are the godfather of the basar of the evening. And all of the officers and everybody else involved. It's really an honor and a pleasure. It takes something like kaved and turns it into, as Moshe and Chana noted so beautifully, an evening of tremendous kavod. And what a better way to highlight kavod than by highlighting the two wonderful couples we're here to pay homage to this evening. Everyone seems to be enjoying leaning on Parshas Vayera, so I'll do the same for a moment. I want to take a moment, if I may, just to highlight a lesson that I always understood, but I understand a lot more in this last week. A lesson that's been hinted to quite a bit this evening, but I want to point it out because we are standing at the 64th annual dinner of our shul. I want to talk about what it means to be ready to say Hineni. Everyone else has talked about the city of Sdom, about Yitzchak's birth. I want to talk about the challenge of Akedas Yitzchak, but for a moment. Avram Avinu sitting around in his tent one day, that tent that's open on all four sides, that's a tent that's always there for chesed, that's a tent that anybody knows you can knock on at any single moment in time. And he's doing his thing, and God's throwing him curveballs left and right, test here, a test there. And one day God comes knocking at the door, and he says, "Hey, Avraham, Avraham." And Avraham's immediate response is Hineni. And Rashi comments, and Rashi tells us the word Hineni is a lashon, of course, of zrizus, of being ready to jump at the opportunity. But Rashi adds another word. Rashi also comments and says it's a lashon anava. It's a lashon of humility. On Shabbos afternoon, I turned to my dear friend Rabbi Shapiro and I asked him, how does Hineni imply anivus? How does Hineni imply a sense of humility? It sounds as if when God calls you and you say, okay, here I am, I'm the man. I'm the one ready to step up to the plate. And I think the answer is pretty clear. when a person realizes that he or she has a job in life and a new challenge, a new opportunity to grow, and comfortably says, I will go along with it even when it is something that's beyond my zone of comfort, that is a Hineni person. As long as I've had the honor and privilege to know Bracha and Yisroel Schechter, the first word that comes to my mind when I think of them is that exact word, Hineni. You have never asked anything of Bracha and Yisroel and gotten any other answer. A plane of people is coming in at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. We need a place for about 20. Bracha says, Hineni. You need a good joke and a pickup, even when he doesn't know why. Yisroel is there to say Hineni. You want a model to see how parents raise children. Just look at the Schechters. They rise to the occasion and they say Hineni. They are, as was noted so beautifully before, one complete lave, a heart that from beginning to end, just like our Torah that begins with a bet and ends with a lamed, highlighting that heart from beginning to end, their heart beats our Torah. They are living, wonderful examples of what it means to be people who, no matter what, aren't just prepared to give their lives for Kiddush Hashem, actively, every single day of their lives, are models of what Kiddush Hashem is all about. I thank you guys. I know what it means to try to get out of being an honoree at a dinner. I know this is not your style, but Hineni, you rose to the occasion. And I thank you for that, because it's but a small opportunity that we as a community have to say thank you to you for everything that you've done. And as you can see from the applause you're about to hear, that our community really appreciates all that you mean for us. Almost 16 years ago, I walked into an office on what was then known as the 4th floor of Yeshiva University. I had received an email, I'd like to say, but it's a story for another time, totally by accident. I had received an email from someone in our community telling me I was coming for Shabbos to visit this little town on the Elizabeth Hillside border. I didn't know who the person was, and I didn't know where Hillside was. And so when I went to visit the person who was involved with career placement at YU, he told me, whoops, I made a mistake, forget about it, tell him you're not interested. I told him, I'm not sure I'm not interested. Let me talk to somebody, and maybe we'll go. If nothing else, it'll be an excuse for a Shabbos off from my current position. Well, I came with my wonderful wife, my daughter, and we shared a tremendously warm Shabbos. And over the course of that Shabbos, there was an individual who took me under his wing, who said to me, if you think you have no idea what you're doing, don't worry. I have no idea either. And they call me chairman. Jokingly and regularly, Bob and I have been talking about what it means to be chairman. Bob has told this to every single subsequent chairman. Bob reminds each and every one of them when they are appointed, no backsies. But Bob was a tremendously good egg. He was a person who was there to provide solid advice. At certain points in time, when it looked like things were going to be challenging here and there, Bob also reached into an idea from Akedas Yitzchak. No, he didn't tell me to go Schechter myself, though I'm sure at times. We'll just leave it at that, Bob. At one point in time, Avram Avinu and Yitzchak were traveling with 2 other individuals. And Avram lifts up his eyes. Vayisa Avraham es einav, vayaris hamakom meirachok. Avram lifts up his eyes, and he sees a mountain, and he sees a cloud, and off in the distance, he sees something happening. What was Avram Avinu looking for? And then he turns and he retorts to the two attendants, to Yishmael and to Eliezer, and he asks them, do you know what you're looking at? And they say, no way. So he tells them, Shvu lachem po im achamor, you guys stay here with the donkey, v'ani v'hanar, I'll go with Yitzchak, nilcha ad ko. You stay po, we'll go ad ko. V'nishtachaveh v'nashuva aleichem. My great Rebbe, Rav Schechter, used to always highlight to us, still does, the difference between po and ko. Bob also highlighted that message to us. And many of our backs and forths for the last almost 16 years. Po is the individual who only has the ability to see what's directly in front of your face. Po is the only person who can see what the difficulty is when you're mired in the present. It doesn't look great, so what? So it's not important. Throw up your hands, give it up. Go to something else. HaChacham. Ezehu Chacham. Haroes HaNolad. The true wise individual is the one who can see the potential, who can see the holiness and the vision in the future. And when I think about the Avram Avinu, the Sari Imenu at the time of Akedas Yitzchak, I think of our honored and cherished founding chairman and founding first lady, Bob and Rachel Moskowitz. They are all about what it means to see not only what's in front of you, but to see the potential and to nurture it and to grow it and to make it happen and then to make sure that it continues for long periods in time. The number of people who know Mora Rachel know a Mora who everybody believes in. Everyone believes in Mora Rachel because she believes in everybody. I told my kids tonight we're going to Bob and Rachel Moskowitz's dinner. And all my kids, all of whom had the honor and privilege of having Mora Rachel as a kid, as a teacher, said, Mora Rachel, she's great. I said, why is she great? Because she is. Why is she great? Because it doesn't matter whether you're 17 or 7. Mora Rachel treats you like a person. Mora Rachel holds your hand. Mora Rachel calms you down. Mora Rachel refocuses you. Mora Rachel brings out the best in you. And that was just from my 8-year-old. Ladies and gentlemen, look at your kids. A lot of who they are come because of Mora Rachel and the dedication that she has put into your kids. She has taught them to be kind. She has taught them to learn. She has taught them to be good community people. And that's because that's who she is. She teaches by example and with the tremendous encouragement of the person that she is. That's probably why she shares that same heart that our founding chairman, Bob, does as well. Yes, Bob, you brought me here, and there are a lot of people in this room who are finding that kaved very difficult to understand. And yes, early on in the process, you sustained us. You made sure that board meetings and open membership meetings were catered, and that you were the one who brought the Entenmann's donuts. And long after your chairmanship, you still were the one making sure that there were donuts and food for anyone who came to those meetings. But what people don't know about Bob Moskowitz is the fact that Bob always sees the potential. Bob is always quietly taking care of those little odds and ends that you're not aware of, but you just think magically happen. Bob's the guy who makes sure that when the Hashkama minyan comes into minyan at 7 o'clock in the morning, magically tables and chairs all happen to be in the right place. Somehow, whether he can walk on 2 legs or not, a Sefer Torah floats from the Aron Kodesh that's locked into the Aron Kodesh where the minyan can be found. Bob makes sure that our minyanim happen because Bob makes sure that he gets there early enough to make them happen. Bob is the individual who I can count on a Friday evening as soon as I'm done presenting the question of the week to turn to me and tell me what the answer of the week definitely is. And by the next morning, Bob has sat up in his house looking up different answers to show me that this is the answer. Because to Bob Moskowitz, this is what it means not only to see po, but to see ko, to see things not only as they are, but as great as they can possibly be. It's a heart. It's a lev tov, as you heard before. So what do you do when you have a lev and a lev? What do you do when you have two families that identify the heart of what a community is all about? When you take a lev, Gematria 32, and another lev, Gematria 32, and you combine them at a dinner, when it comes to the 64th annual dinner of our shul, you make sure to take great people, those like Bob and Rachel who blaze the trail for us, who believe in us, who set the potential for us, and live within that potential as models for us. And people like Bracha and Yisroel who put their heart and soul, just like the Moskowitzes, into everything we do. They are what brings us to the 64th annual dinner. And if we continue to put our hearts and souls into it, with God's help, we will create many more Kiddushei Shem Shamayim, many more opportunities to sanctify God's name as we live the Kiddush Hashem. That will be an honor for us and an honor for Shamayim, something that will bring us hala hala umala mala. I want to wish the Moskowitzes in particular and the Schechters in particular a very strong, hearty mazel tov and sincerest thanks. And it's my honor and privilege to call upon this shul's founding chairman and founding first lady, because the shul was lost for years until they found us, Bob and Rachel Moskowitz, to step forward and accept our Guest of Honor award. I present in the name of our shul, may we not be judged by how much we acquire, but let us be blessed according to how much we give. And boy, have you really given a tremendous amount to us. Our shul honors Robert and Rachel Moskowitz at the 64th anniversary dinner with heartfelt appreciation for your sincere commitment and years of dedicated service to our shul and community. Congregation Adath Israel, November 17, 2019, Chaf Cheshvan, Tavshin Pei, Mazel Tov.
First of all, Rabbi Schwartz, Rabbi Teitz would like you to call him something about a gematria being said without his permission. First, I would like to express gratitude and thanks to Hashem for everything I have, a wonderful wife, great kids, grandchildren and family, some of which have joined me and my wife tonight. When Adath Israel's first formed its first board of directors, I was elected as chairman. It was kind of like the joke where they say, who volunteers? Everybody steps back, and I wasn't paying attention. This, of course, required a lot of time and effort, and if not for my wife's patience and sage advice, I do not think I could have accomplished anything close to what I did. Those first few boards had a lot on their plates. Though it's been many years, I would like to thank each and every member of those boards for their efforts, support, and guidance. Those board members set into motion what Adath Israel has become today. And even though at times we agreed to disagree, in the end we all acted professionally and in the best interests of the shul. Of course, the most significant event was hiring and installing Rabbi Schwartz as the Rav of our shul. Rabbi Schwartz, and this is one of the things I'm most proud of, Rabbi Schwartz has led our shul for more than 15 years, and under his leadership, in partnership with all the subsequent boards of directors, the shul has become what it is today with the increase in membership and all the other advancements that Charlie had listed. I'm not going to list them again. So thank you, Rabbi Schwartz. Rachel and I also would like to thank Rabbi Teitz. On many occasions, he gave me advice concerning how to handle certain matters that come up. Being the chairman of the board, there were some, as Rabbi Schwartz and others indicated, there were some bumps in the road, but through it all, we did the right thing, and we're here today to celebrate that fact. Rachel and I would like to thank you all for this honor and for your attendance. Thank you very much. And I would like also to thank Hashem that I'm able to walk down the steps here somewhat without falling on my face.